In our next video, school resource officers are a vital and important role for protecting American schools. But it can also be a quite thankless job, especially when the very people you're sworn to protect are the ones that attack you. As the video begins, Officer Russell Ball of St. Cloud, Florida Police Department tries to break up a fight when he is suddenly attacked from behind by a third student. This 15-year-old student grabs at Ball and tries to wrestle him to the ground. The two grapple while they tumble onto the grass. The two begin to draw a very large crowd of students. One of those students captures the fight on their cell phone, showing the 15-year-old aggressor body slam Ball back onto the grass. Let's see that again in slow motion. Hoisting Ball from behind, the teenager lifts the officer off the ground and then slams him backward like a professional wrestler. The crowd goes wild as some students try to help detain the suspect themselves. As more teachers and other officers finally converge on the scene, the teenager is subdued at last. Pinning the student to the ground, Officer Ball finally manages to arrest the suspect.
My first thought was how impressed I was by the restraint of that school resource officer in the face of danger both in front of him and behind him. The United States Department of Justice defines a school resource officer as a sworn officer whose responsibility it is for safety and crime prevention. But society and schools today expect them to be social workers and counselors and truancy officers and a myriad of other responsibilities, and that's not what they're trained to do. And it appeared that this juvenile did not like the authority that the school resource officer was using to intervene in this situation. So he attacked him. Well, whenever your adrenaline is amped up from your anger or aggression, that triggers that fight or flight mechanism, and he chose to fight, and it was the wrong decision. The school resource officer is school personnel when they're assigned to that school. So the school needs to follow their policies just like this could have happened to any of their teachers or other school staff. And in this particular case, make sure they do exactly what they would have done if that would have been a teacher. Schools today need to be very cognizant of the changing environment with social media and children's lives and their experiences. And they need to train their teachers and their other school staff that they are there as a duty of care to help protect kids. Correct training is not just one video at the very beginning of the year. Schools need to be consistent in their training and let the teachers and their other staff know that they care about this situation and they want to make sure that the teachers are fully prepared for the world that's coming into our school today. Well, with every episode that you see on social media that depicts law enforcement in a bad light, there are great things happening in America and particularly in our schools with police establishing relationships with our children early on in life and hopefully making a difference in the rest of their life.
It's still unclear what caused the teenager to engage that officer so violently. That teenager wasn't even involved in the fight that Officer Ball was trying to break up. The teenager, whose name has not been released, was arrested for battery of a law enforcement officer and resisting arrest. As for Officer Ball, he continues to serve the St. Cloud Police Department, but no longer works as a school resource officer.